with this message. And so really, I want to start off by really asking you a question like I do oftentimes. And so the question is there a goal? Is there a dream? Something that you've been wanting to move on, that you've been meaning to move on, that unfortunately you just haven't acted. Unfortunately, it's been on the back burner. Unfortunately, it's almost turned into your plan B. Yeah, you know that thing. I mean, that thing that you've been saying for a while now that you wanted to start the business, or you've been wanting to write the book, or you've been wanting to leave your career and pursue a different path and go after this goal, this dream that you have, but yet and still you just haven't acted. And so here's what I know, that there's a lot of people, unfortunately, who are in that particular situation. And maybe perhaps you've been there now for a couple months, or maybe even been there for a couple of years. You've had this dream of yours that you wanted to move forward on, but unfortunately, something else right now is occupying your time. Your job is really your plan B, that whatever it is that you're doing right now, it is not your plan A. It's not what you originally wanted to do, but unfortunately, it was your second best. And now your second best has become what you're doing right now. And so maybe you could relate to that. Maybe you've been wanting to move forward with your goals and your dreams, and you just haven't been able to do it. And so I want to give you a little suggestion. I want to have you do something that really comes from a little piece of history. And I'm going to ask you to do something radical. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to burn your ships. Write that down. Burn your ships. I want you to burn your ships. And you say, well, Andy, what do you mean by that? Here's what I know, that most of you right now, you have a goal, a dream, something that you want to pursue, and you're not 100% committed. No. You're not going in 100%. No, you've got a backup plan, something else that is occupying your time right now. You haven't put it all on the line. You haven't decided that it's all or nothing. You haven't made the decision that if it's got to be, it's up to me. You haven't made the decision that there's no more retreating, that this is the only thing that I got to do. And let me tell you, something happens when you choose to show up that way. Something happens when you decide that you're going to burn your ships, that you decide that there is no plan B, that when you decide that there's no retreating, when you decide that what it is that you're doing right now, that this is it, that no matter how difficult things get, no matter how at times you may second guess yourself, that no matter what, that you're going to continue to lean in, that you're going to continue to move forward, that you're going to continue to make this thing happen. And so here's what I know, that many of us, unfortunately, and I don't know if you can relate to this, that you have something that you've been wanting to do, that you've been meaning to do, and take to that next level. Something that you know, that deep down inside, that you know, if you could eliminate all the excuses, that this would be the thing that you do. And unfortunately, you're still not doing it. Unfortunately, you are living a plan B life. Write that down. Too many people are living a plan B life. You say, well, Andy, what does that mean? What it means is that every single day they wake up and they're living out plan B. You see, plan A got put on the back burner. Somehow they talked themselves out of plan A. Somehow they abandoned plan A. That goal, that dream, that thing that they wanted to do, that thing that they talked about, that thing that they dreamed about, that thing that is still in them, they haven't moved forward on that thing. And unfortunately, they've got the plan B job that they're showing up to, that they've got the plan B diploma that they have, because there's something else that they wanted to do. And maybe perhaps you can relate to that. And what I'm saying to you right now is this is the time to do something radical. This is the time right now to literally burn your ships. And so you may remember this from history. You say, well, where does that terminology come from? Where that comes from, this great conqueror from back in 1519, a gentleman by the name of Hernan Cortez. And Hernando set out, and during his voyage, of course, you know, him and along with about 500 of his soldiers and about 100 sailors on 11 ships, they decided to go ahead and embark on the Mexico. And when they got over there to Mexico, what they were in pursuit of, they were in pursuit of this magnificent treasure that was under the control of the Aztecs. And they knew that they wanted to make this thing happen. And so Fernando Cortez, you know, leading this troop and knowing that he needed to do something radical, knowing that some of the individuals had already put in their mind that they didn't exactly want to be there. Some of those individuals didn't necessarily want to go into war and put it all on the line. Some of them had already put it in their mind that if things got difficult, that they would just get back on their ships and head back to Spain. And so he decided to do something radical. He looked at those soldiers, he looked at those individuals, and he told them, burn the ships. Yeah, they thought he was crazy. He said, listen, burn the ships, put fire to the ships, burn them. And they thought he was absolutely crazy. They said, what do you mean burn them? He said, burn the ships. And the reason why he did that is because he needed them to show up differently. The reason why he did that is because he wanted them to understand that this is all or nothing, that we're putting it all on the line. It's either we conquer them right now, we walk away with this treasure and we cruise away this treasure, or we die. There is nothing in between. And so what I'm saying to you is this, that when you decide that you're going to pursue your goals and your dreams, when you decide that you're going to take your life to the next level, there will become a defining moment, a moment that you've got to make a decision. There's got to be a gut check decision, and you've got to make the decision in that moment. Are you willing to burn your ships? Are you willing to say that this is it? Are you willing to say that it's all or nothing? Are you willing to say that this is what I am pursuing, and the only other alternative is death? That's how much that I believe in this goal or dream. That's how much that I believe in making this thing happen. That's how much I believe in taking my life to the next level. That's how much I believe in changing the legacy of my last name. That's how much I believe in doing this thing that I've been called to do. Are you at that point? Are you going to continue to live a plan B life? And so what I realize all too often, that there's too many people who are waking up every single day and their ships are still sitting there at the harbor. And they, unfortunately, are living a plan B life. And if you were to ask them right now, what is it that they would do with their lives if money wasn't an option, if they weren't afraid of failure, if they weren't afraid of giving up, they would tell you that there's something that they wanted to do, how they always wanted to start a business, how they always wanted to go back and get another degree, how they always wanted to write a book, how they always wanted to make some things happen. And if you say, why aren't you doing it? They say, well, listen, you know, unfortunately, there's something else that I'm doing right now. You say, well, is it something that you're passionate about? And they say, no, unfortunately, it's not. And you say, well, why are you doing it? Well, the reason why is because they haven't burned their ships. The reason why is because their plan B has now become the complete part of their life. Their plan B is now their plan A in many ways. And so too many people are living a plan B life. And so if you're living a plan B life, I want to challenge you right now to stop living a plan B life. Make the decision that you're going to burn your ships. Make the decision that you're going to pursue your goals and your dreams and do that thing that you know that you've been called to do. And so you know it right now. If you're living a plan B life, you absolutely know it. And so what I'm saying to you right now is I want you to evaluate your life. You know, Socrates said that an unexamined life is not worth living, that this is the time to examine your life. And the question to ask yourself is, am I living a plan B life? Do I still have all the ships at the harbor? Have I made the decision that I'm just going to, you know, literally retreat if things don't work out? Am I not 100% committed to making my goals and my dreams work? If that's you right now, I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to burn your ships. I want to challenge you to get uncomfortable. I want to challenge you to do this thing that you know that you've been called to do, that you've been meaning to do. I want to challenge you to literally burn those ships, that there's got to be something in you that makes a decision. You know, I was looking at a clip, you know, as a matter of fact, earlier today, and I was looking at the gentleman by the name of Idris Elba. And so many of you who are listening to me right now, you know, may know who Idris Elba is. He is a very successful actor. He's recipient of a Golden Globe Award. He's been in a movie. Matter of fact, he played in the documentary of Nelson Mandela. He played Mandela. As a matter of fact, that's why he won the Golden Globe Award. He's been in the movie Takers. He was on a successful TV series called The Wire. And so most likely you've seen him before. He's been featured as one of the top, you know, attractive men in all these magazines and so forth. So, you know, he's made his mark. He's made some things happen. And so he was born in London, and there's one particular theater. And when he first started launching his acting career, when he first started really connecting and starting to work and develop his craft. And so what he does periodically, he goes back to that theater and he goes and he tries to impart some wisdom on these young, inspiring actors. You know, these young actors that they're pursuing their careers and they're hoping to follow a path to be able to pursue their goals and their dreams. And I remember watching this clip, and he's sitting there and he's visiting this theater. You know, he's back there, the same theater that where he started off his acting career. And while he's there, he's sitting down and they're doing a little Q&A session. And during the Q&A session, one of the young actresses who was sitting there, looks over at Idris and she goes to him. She goes, Mr. Idris, I just got to ask you a question. She said, is there any time when you were first starting off that you thought about quitting? Did you ever think about quitting on your acting career and just going and just giving up and just deciding to just have a regular career, a regular job, doing something else, something outside of acting? And I love Idris's response. I mean, he did not hesitate, not even for a second. He looked at her and he said, no. He said, I never once even thought about quitting. He said, when I made a decision I want to become an actor, I moved to America. And he says, when I got to America, he said, I went 3 years where I had absolutely no acting gigs. I had nothing. I was literally a starving actor. But he said that, you know what, even though I was a starving actor, I made the decision that there wasn't a moment that I thought about quitting. And so what I'm saying to you is this, that when you talk about pursuing your goals and your dreams, when you're talking about taking your life to the next level, you've got to have that kind of level of commitment. You've got to say to yourself that no matter what the circumstances are, no matter how difficult things may get, no matter how bleak my future may look, even if the possibilities don't even look certain, even if it looks like the thing that I'm reaching for is so far outside of my grasp, you got to make the decision yourself that there is no turning back. You've got to make the decision that there's no such thing as a plan B. You've got to make the decision that you're going to burn your ships. Idris said, I burned my ships when I decided to pursue my acting career, that there was no other alternative, that I had to make this thing happen. I had to make it work. And that's what it's going to take. And so I want you to think about, what is that thing that you want, that thing that you desire? And what I'm saying to you is that this may be your time right now, that you've got to be willing to make the decision to burn your ships. This may be that time right now that you've got to be willing to abandon plan B. As a matter of fact, I remember watching another clip. It was Will Smith. Will Smith was imparting all kind of wisdom. And Will Smith, as many of you guys know, has, been featured in so many movies. I mean, countless movies after movie after movie after movie, blockbuster after blockbuster after blockbuster. And I remember I was looking at Will Smith, and he was in a series of interviews, and you guys have probably seen this before on YouTube, and they were asking Will Smith to impart his wisdom, and it was a compilation of all his different interviews and so forth. And I remember Will Smith saying this, and this is something that may sound radical, but here's what Will Smith said. He said that there's no need for a plan B. Why? He says, because plan B distracts you from plan A. He said there's no need for a plan B because plan B distracts you from plan A. And I know that sounds radical. You see, a regular person would say, you know what, that's extreme. What do you mean you can't have a plan B? Well, what if things don't work out? You should always have a plan B. We see what that's how ordinary people think. But those people who are going to beat the odds, those people who are going to do something significant, those people who are going to take their lives to the next level, those people who are going to make a name for themselves, those people who are going to make a significant contribution, there's no such thing as a plan B. What they're doing, that's it. It is their plan A. There is no other alternative. And so they're willing to put it all on the line. They're willing to stick in there even when things get difficult. They're willing to push forward even when they're second guessing themselves. They're willing to fight for their goals and their dreams, even in the moments when they're curled up in their bed and they don't even know if they're going to be able to keep the lights on. They don't even know if they're going to be able to continue to make this thing happen. And so what I'm saying to you is this, that if you're serious about making this goal, this dream that you have come to fruition, if you're serious about taking things to the next level, then what I'm saying to you is this, that you may in fact have to go ahead and decide that you're going to eliminate your plan B. As a matter of fact, some of you right now, and I know that I've done it before, are living a plan B life. And what I'm saying to you is that this is the moment that you've got to make the decision. This may be your defining moment. You've got to make the decision that plan B is no longer enough, that you are going to stick to plan A, and there is no other plan. Like Will Smith said, you know what? Why have a plan B? Why? Because it distracts you from plan A. And so plan A is going to require a certain level of focus. Plan A is going to require a certain level of determination. Plan A is going to require a certain amount of energy. And so how can you give plan A the focus that it needs? How can you give plan A the energy that it needs? How can you give plan A the concentration that is going to be required of you if you are, in fact, continuing to dibble and dabble in plan B? And so this is the time right now to burn your ships. You got to do something radical. And so what I know is that many of you right now, you've got a goal, you've got a dream, you've got something that you want to make happen. And it's been months, and then maybe even perhaps it's been years that you continue to have the same conversation. And so you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. You're sick and tired of the conversations. And so you're making a decision. At some point, you've got to make a decision to burn your ships. And I'm telling you, I know what that's like. And so I remember living my plan B life. I remember, working as an accountant for PricewaterhouseCoopers, a wonderful company, but knowing in my heart that that was not what I perceived to be my plan A. And I remember being fearful to move forward on my plan A. And so I continued to live a plan B life. And so I was working as an accountant. I was working as an auditor. And even though this was a great company, even though I had a great salary, you know what? Something inside me was saying, Andy, there's got to be more than this. And so finally, in December of 2004, I decided to burn my ships. It was over a decade ago that I burned my ships. It was over a decade ago that I left corporate America and haven't looked back. And let me tell you, it was scary. Let me tell you that there's definitely been times in the journey where you will be challenged. But let me tell you, you show up differently when you decide to burn your ships. You start to learn some things about yourself when you decide to burn those ships. The voice that you're hearing right now, what I'm doing right now, it wouldn't exist if I didn't make the decision to burn my ships. And so what I'm saying to you is there's another part of you that you don't even know yet. There's another part of you that you haven't even been introduced yet. There's another part of you that you can't tap into. And there's another part of you that you won't even reveal until you decide to burn your ships, until you decide that what you're doing right now is no longer enough, until you decide that plan B is no longer an option, until you decide that you're going to give it 100%, not 99%, but 100%, till you decide to go ahead and take a chance on who? Take a chance on yourself. That's right. I'm talking about taking a chance on yourself. I'm talking about taking a chance on your goals and your dreams. I'm talking about taking a chance on that thing that you know that you've been called to do. I'm talking about taking a chance and doing this thing that you know that you need to do. And so stop living a plan B life. And stop having those ships sitting there and waiting on you. And what I'm saying to you is burn those ships, eliminate plan B, and watch how you begin to show up. Watch how your level of concentration begins to show up. Watch how all of a sudden you begin to have more focus. Watch how things begin to work out in your favor. Watch how the right people begin to show up. Watch how opportunities begin to appear. Watch how things begin to shift and begin to change for you. When you decide, all of a sudden, when you make that decision, just that little decision that you make up in your mind, you say to yourself, you know what, I'm burning my ships. You know what, this is scary. I'm no longer going to be able to run back to my job. I'm no longer going to be able to run back to my comfort zone. As a matter of fact, Brian Tracy said that your comfort zone is your danger zone. Why? Because nothing significant happens there. When you burn your ships, you're forced outside of your comfort zone. When you decide to eliminate plan B, you're forced outside of your comfort zone. Something happens when you decide to step outside of that comfort zone. You know what? Donald Trump said that. You know what? Your greater self is in direct opposition of your comfort zone. And the only way outside of your comfort zone is to get that gasoline and light those ships on fire. And so I've got some questions for you right now. My question for you is, what are the ships in your life? What are those things, those comfort zones, those excuses, those things that are showing up in your life that's keeping you playing small, that's keeping you from moving forward, that's keeping you from doing that thing that you've been called to do? Where are those things in your life? Where are those ships? What do those ships look like? Where are those ships? What conversations are you having? Limiting conversations that you're having. Where are you showing up to a plan B life? Where are you showing up to a plan B job? Where are you showing up to a plan B relationship? And what I'm challenging you to do is to eliminate the plan B and make the decision. And now the only thing that matters is plan A. I remember there was one of my fraternity brothers and very good friends. I remember that for a while he was living a plan B life. For a while, his plan B was essentially to be a barber. He was a good barber. And there's nothing wrong with being a barber, but something inside of him wanted more. He wanted to be an entrepreneur. He wanted to take things to a next level. And so even though being a barber was always considered to be his plan B, in many ways, his plan B became his plan A. And many of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You had a plan B, but now when you look at your life, your plan B has now become your plan A. And so you're living a plan B life. And so finally, he made the decision. He made a decision. He went ahead and put those clippers in that bag. He zipped up that little bag. He took that little jalopy car that he had, and he drove up to DC, and he decided that he was going to go ahead and become an entrepreneur. He went ahead and took a job in an industry that he knew nothing about. He learned the industry. He learned about, IT hardware, things that he knew nothing about before. His degree wasn't in there, but he learned the industry, he paid his dues, and he ended up starting his own company. Let me tell you, after the first year, he was making multiple six figures. By the second year, his company did over $1 million. But listen, I wish I could tell you it's a fairy tale story, but it wasn't. Guess what? Unfortunately, when the market turned around, and things happened, you guys remember 9/11, and the economy turned around, he lost everything. This plan A that he pursued, this dream that he always had, he had finally been doing it. And unfortunately, he lost it all. And so now here he is, back down to nothing, zero. And he's tempted to go back to his plan B. He's tempted to go ahead and pull out those clippers again and become a barber. He's tempted to give up on his goals and his dreams. He's tempted to retreat, but he made the decision that I've burned my ships. He made the decision that there's no more plan B. And so even though it was difficult, even though it was a strenuous process, even though he had to start back from nothing, even though he had to pick up the phone every single day and start calling people to start getting clients and customers again, even though he had to change his business around, even though sometimes he had to make the decision between literally eating and putting gasoline in his car, make the decision between eating and leaving the lights on in his house. Even though he had to go through that experience, he showed up a different kind of way. Why? Because there was no more plan B. Why? Because he made the decision to burn his ships. And so I'm telling you right now, this is the time for you to start burning those ships. That I know that you've got this goal, this dream, this thing that you want right now, that you want to make happen. And so what I'm saying to you is you can't make this thing happen if you continue to live a plan B life. And so this is the time right now to make the decision. Plan B is no longer enough. This is the time to make a decision that you've got to take things to the next level. This is the time to make the decision that you are going to burn your ships. This is the time to make the decision that plan B is no longer enough. This is the time to make the decision that you're going to lean in. This is the time to make the decision that it's all or nothing. This is the time to make the decision that there's no more retreating, that you will not pull back, that this is that thing that you've been called to do. This is the thing that you know that you have to do. And no matter what it is, no matter how difficult things get, no matter what the challenges are, that this is something that you're absolutely going to do. And so I want you right now to think about what's that thing that you have, what's that goal, what's that dream that you've been wanting to push forward on, that you've been wanting to make a reality for you. And so I'm going to challenge you right now. I'm going to challenge you absolutely to make sure that you absolutely lean in, that you make sure that you burn those ships and that you make these things happen. And so last thing I want to just leave you with, and Lewis, if you would check the conference call line, I feel like I'm hearing some noise. Thank you. And so last thing that I absolutely want to leave you with is this, is that I want you right now to examine your life, to look at your life. And I want you to be honest with yourself. And I want to ask you a question. Are you at this moment living a plan B life? Are you living a plan B life? That's the first question I have for you. Are you living a plan B life? That at some point in time you had a plan A, something that you wanted to do. I mean, you thought about this. You talked about your friends. You talked about this all the time as a kid. You talked about this. You've been talking about this now for years. There's a plan A, something you want to do. You know what that thing is. But somehow, some way, life gave you a set of circumstances. Somehow, some way, things got put in your past. Somehow, some ways you compromised, and now you're living a plan B life. And so if that's you, then I want you to make the decision right now. Is the decision I want you to make right now is, are you satisfied with a plan B life? And if you know in your heart that you're not satisfied with a plan B life, I want you to go ahead and think about for a moment now. I want you to think about, where are the ships in your life? Where are the ships still sitting at the harbor? Where are those ships that you need to burn? What are those excuses that you're still holding on to? What are those past experiences, something that happened to you in the past that you haven't been able to let go of, and because of that, you haven't moved forward on your goals and your dreams? Where are those ships still sitting at your harbor? And so I want you to identify what those ships are, and now I want to challenge you to burn those ships. I want to challenge you to eliminate the plan B. I want to challenge you to do this thing that you know that you've been called to do. And so think about it right now. Are you sick and tired of living a plan B life? Are you ready to live a plan A life? Or are you ready to put it all on the line? Are you willing to do whatever it takes? And if that's the case, I'm going to challenge you right now. I'm literally going to challenge you to go ahead and burn your ships and eliminate the plan B. You know, this wouldn't be Andy Henriquez if I didn't end by telling you this. Show up for your lives, ladies and gentlemen, because if you don't, nobody else will. All right. Well, absolutely. Well, of course, before I open up the conference call lines, a couple of things I definitely want to make sure that I do at this moment. For those of you who are not aware of it, I want to introduce this and announce this one more time. We're going to do the Show Up 2015 event. It's going to be taking place on July 10th and 11th. We know that there's so many of you who have registered and are going to be joining us in beautiful California for this transformational event. But I also know that there's some of you who are listening in right now who haven't made the decision. And so what I'm saying to you is right now, listen, stop sitting on the fence. Somebody told me a long time ago, people who sit on the fence get shot from both sides. Listen, do whatever you have to do. Get uncomfortable, okay? Burn those ships. Do whatever you have to do to make sure that you join me and some other phenomenal speakers on July 10th and 11th in beautiful California. You don't want to miss this event. This is going to be a transformational event that we're spending some time and really putting together some amazing, amazing, amazing experience for you to ensure that you make sure that the rest of this year is going to be the best of this year. And so I know that there's some of you right now that, you know what, for you, that you've had some challenges with your finances and so forth. And you know what, you'd love to be able to create some additional streams of income. And so we're going to be covering how to create some additional streams of income, how to tap into your gifts, your talents to be able to create additional stream of income. Some of you own businesses or you're in a career and that you've got to, you know, be involved in sales. You know, a lot of people tend to stay away from sales. They don't exactly want to be involved in sales, but here's what you may not know. Whether you know it or not, guess what? You are in sales. You've got to sell. You've got to sell yourself. You've got to sell your ideas. You got to sell your products. And so we've got one of the top sales trainers across the world. Star Babatune is going to be coming in and empowering you with a powerful session. And you know what? Some of you have gone through some serious setbacks, some things that have happened, and you've been trying to figure out, you know what, exactly how you're going to make a transition and turn this setback around. Well, we have Louis Moria, the comeback expert, is going to give you some tips and strategies on how to make a comeback in your life, how to reposition yourself, how to put yourself back in alignment to be able to recover from those past failures and disappointments and those things that have kept you from moving forward with your goals and your dreams. I'm going to be talking to you about effective communication and how to take your communication skills to the next level, how to tap into that story that I know that you have, how to leverage that story and cash in on that story. And of course, I'm going to be talking about showing up for your life. And of course, we've got some other surprises for you. And so you don't want to miss it. I want you to go right now to showup2015.com. You're going to go to showup2015.com. You want to join me out in California. You want to join us out in California. We are going to have a wonderful time. This is something that you don't want to miss. And of course, like we always do, there's going to be another part of this that I want you guys to do. If for some reason you and I were not connected, you know, you're listening via live stream, or you know what, you're listening on the conference call line and we're not connected, what I want you to do right now, I want you to go to showupforyourlife.com. You're going to go showupforyourlife.com, put in your name and your email address. And when you do that, that's going to allow me to send you an instant motivational message, but it's also going to allow me to continue to provide you with powerful content, provide you with videos, provide you with content I believe is going to help you to continue to show up for your life, and most importantly, to take your life to that next level, the level that you really want. So go to showupforyourlife.com, and as we always do, we are going to open up the lines. I'm going to put my telephone on speakerphone so we can hear the questions. But here's what I also want to do. For those of you who are listening in, you're trying to figure out, well, you know, how can you submit your questions and your feedback? Here's something else we're going to do. I am going to tell you about our very private Facebook group. So we have a private Facebook group, and in that private Facebook group, you'll be able to post your comments and your feedback. For those of you who are able to join us and listen to us on the conference call line, and for those of you who are watching us via live stream, you can put your comments and your feedback in our private Facebook group. And so you can go to that private Facebook group by simply going to showup2015.com. Go to showup2015.com. Once again, you're going to go to showup2015.com, and that will be the place that you can put your comments and your feedback. That will be the place that I'll be able to give you a shout out. As a matter of fact, I'm going into that group right now, and so you can go in there. It's actually open right now, that you can actually put in your comments and your feedback. And Louis, I have you on speakerphone right now, Louis, so we can go ahead and open up the conference call line. we'll go ahead and take our comments and our questions for those who have their comments and their questions, and for those who are sort of listening in right now.